This has all the makings of a meme video, but it's really not a meme video. This is all coming from a guy who has been here since 2013. I'm a commentator. I casted Shroud's first match on LAN at LAN ETS in 2013. That one I casted with Sidokist, my first LAN ever. Really great story within there somewhere, but we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about Canadian legend, all-star, streamer, good at every single FPS title he picks up. Shroud, was he really good at Counter-Strike, the GOAT FPS, the hardest game, the litmus test for all the nerds out there who go and play Fortnite and Valorant and Counter-Strike and Apex Legends and try to figure out who's the GOAT of the GOATs, right? Who's the GOAT? Is Simple the GOAT of the GOATs because he's the best at Counter-Strike? Or is it somebody else playing Quake who retired that is actually the real GOAT that we can't talk about now because the game's dead even though the game was harder? Or is it somebody, is Booga the GOAT? You know, shout out to Fortnite. That is not easy, okay? Here's the short answer, folks. Shroud was good at Counter-Strike. The long answer was that Shroud was good at Counter-Strike except at the highest level. So Shroud was a good player and an average pro. And when we talk about Shroud, there's the circle jerk, then there's the anti-circle jerk, and then there's the discussion about Shroud, okay? It's a whole nother level. And now it's just become hateful because you see all these things that Shroud said, and so he's not making any more friends because it feels like on the one hand, we've definitely slammed the door shut on people who have left Counter-Strike, right? Can you take any responsibility for that? Guy in the chat. Either way, we all know that we're not exactly friendly to people who leave the game. When even Tarek, who is like the most beloved of the defectors, he goes to Valorant, come back. I upload my CS Source 2 video playing with Shroud and Tarek. People are like, I don't want to see these guys come back, come crawling back. These scum of the earth, slime bags. All they want to do is get as much clout as they can out of something and leave. This is their job as a streamer, okay? Carrick's won a major. If you want to talk about how much they've done for our game, a lot, man. Shroud 9, anybody remember this team? It was so fun to watch as a North American. You couldn't help but cheer about them. When we look back on Shroud, you know, I feel like you've got some expired mayonnaise. At first, when you look at the Hellmann's that was in your hand, it was fresh, it smelled good. But now that it's expired, it's the same mayonnaise, it's just a lot older, right? And so that's the washed up Shroud that we have today. It only exists in the realm of stats when you go back and look at HLTV to argue with your friends about whether or not he was good. But is that fair to say that expired mayonnaise Shroud is actually a worse made the healthy in made the non-expired Hellmann's mayonnaise Shroud actually a bad player? That's not fair. Retroactive analysis there. It leads you to some false conclusions, right? I think in reality, when you look at it, why does Shroud get an opportunity to play on Cloud9? Because he's an unreal pug star, right? On ESEA, this guy was the tormentor of the entire pug system. No one pumped out highlights like Shroud, straight up. I played a bunch of games with him. We've all played games against him. The conversation was, as Freakozoid mentioned, about Shroud versus Simple and their mechanics. People cannot fathom the concept that Shroud could have had as good mechanics as Simple at any point in history. That's because they've only started watching the game yesterday and they're talking about it today. But in reality, if you were there back then, Simple wasn't even really talked about at the time. Look at Shroud's mechanics, man. They were unbelievable. The highlights that he put together, no one did this in CS. He was the best mechanical player in the game for me by far. The thing is that in Counter-Strike, it's not about who's the best at exercising. Just because you can aim doesn't mean that you've got the complete package, right? And so Shroud, even though he's this mechanical demon, clearly when we look at his top level pro stats, he's not there comparing him to someone like Simple or whatever. But that's because Simple is the best player of all time. He's elite in every single category in a game that is extremely difficult and requires you to be elite in every single category. In a worse game, in an easier game, the players who have better mechanics can also be the best players of all time because the mechanics are so much more important. That's what people can't seem to distinguish for some reason. Well, if he had great mechanics, then why weren't his stats incredible? Because the game is good, because Counter-Strike is more than aim. That's the point. And then the same people will use that as an argument against Counter-Strike. Well, I can't be that good if this guy's got good aim and sucks, or this guy's got bad aim is good, you know. Whatever, okay? It is true, Shroud was overrated. But what is overrated when you're a massive streamer? Every single streamer that is big is overrated because they have more fans who are going to blindly talk about how good they were at something than haters who want to pull back. So there has to be a sect of people that only exist simply to take down the supporters. There have to be the Shroud believers that don't know as much about any one game in specific. They just know they love Shroudy. And then there's the other guys who are in each and every single game who know everything about the mechanics. And they're the ones talking about Shroud from the perspective as experts in their games. And they only exist in order to shit on Shroud's fan supporters. And that exists with every single streamer. They're popular. That is literally how they make money. It's their job. So when we talk about Shroud and Tarek crawling back to Counter-Strike 2, first of all, if you want to try to compare what you've done for Counter-Strike to what they've done for Counter-Strike. They have done a lot for the game. So maybe we should be a little bit kinder to people who maximize their potential in CS in terms of they played as a pro, they played out their careers, and even though Shroud didn't achieve the heights that his fans wanted him to, I'm sure he tried his hardest. And then Tarek, on the other hand, won North America's only major in CSGO, and we're still slamming the door. And so, like, does that mean you can't criticize him? No, it doesn't mean that, but it does mean that, like, we have to be aware here that Shroud had the best 1v5 ace maybe in the game's history here versus Netcode guys. Do you remember this?
On this, only Shroud is left alive. He has to fight. He does have an M4 in his hands. This is going to be a 1 versus 5. Sprays a lot of bullets, not able to connect. Gets 2 right there, trying to go for the 3rd, and he gets the 3rd and the 4th.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. If he clutches this, he is the nuttiest player alive. No way. Oh man. Oh my god. Oh my god, what the fuck? No way.
Wow, what an insane play. This showcased everything. Now let me tell you why Shroud's pug skills didn't translate to the top level of CSGO. His stats are not terrible as a pro, they're just not good compared to elite pros. But let's take 2 players who are extremely popular and now are both called overrated. One justifiably so maybe, one not so justifiably so, okay? So Shroud and Stewie. Okay, now I talked to Valda a long time ago when he was playing on North way back when, 2016, way back in the day. We didn't even have color back then. And he's like, ask me anything about Counter-Strike. I was like, oof. So I was like, what do you think about Shroud or whatever? And he's like, I remember when we were playing against Shroud on the B side of Cobble. Shroud was playing as the B defaulter on CT side on the other side of the smoke, kept smoking long B, and he killed Shroud like 2 or 3 times in this one half. And then what happened? He started to come through the smoke again, but then Stewie was on the other side, caught him a few times. And he said when Stewie played the same position that Shroud did on the other side of the smoke, he was spamming, he was threatening pushes, he was using more utility. He made the part of the map feel incredibly dangerous and small, and he felt when Shroud was there was no presence whatsoever. And if we want to look at the results, right, Stewie is the most decorated NA player of all time before Twist, was part of the team that won that first NA major, went to Liquid, made a Liquid era basically. Stewie has obviously improved all of these teams, and a review like that will help you understand why. And a review like that will also help you understand why someone with Shroud's mechanics couldn't have more impact as a player. Valdes said that if he had Shroud's mechanics, he would have been trying to take more fights. Maybe as a CS player, not the complete package there in Shroud. Had the ability, but didn't use it to its limits. There's lots of players that there's one mental switch that could go off, that's separating them from being great and elite. Not everyone needs to be everything. That's all I'm trying to say, okay? Communication wasn't great. I heard he was a great teammate in the sense of a super nice person, but I heard the communication wasn't that good. It wasn't active communication. There were no updates on site sometimes when they were playing. I heard this from one of his teammates on Cloud9. Listen, from Manajumas to Cloud9, Shroud had tons of fans. We wanted to see him do well. And I think that there was a bit of a sour taste in his mouth when he exited the game, and all anyone could talk about was how overrated he was. Then he goes on to make these comments about how CSGO is dying. Oh, I'm not going to go back to that game. Or like, blah, 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 blah. And everyone took it personally. Oh, he's hating on us. How could he? We gave him everything, and then he just left. Listen, what did we give him compared to what he gave us? He showed us like what potential in NA looked like. He showed us how popular a streamer could be. That helped bring people to the game. There's so many people that credit their careers to Shroud playing. So, you know, if he snaps back, then there's a little bit of vitriol there. Maybe it's because he feels like, well, he wasn't given the nice red carpet exit that he maybe expected. And you know what? That doesn't free him from criticisms in the comments that he makes. But are both parties allowed to say that, what they want? Is CSGO community allowed to hate on him? Isn't he allowed to make some comments that maybe they're a little tongue-in-cheek, a little passive-aggressive? Hey, maybe it all balances out. The one thing, though, objectively, that bugs me a bit is that they did a lot, and then they got to a point as streamers that, like, if they stuck around and just stream Face It all day long, first of all, there's only so many Mirage pugs that you can play before you lose your mind completely. But when you're somebody like, let's say you have Shroud, when he played PUBG, Shroud was the only player who I've ever seen play PUBG that made it look like it wasn't lagging. Constantly. How does he get the most out of these really random, terrible games? He's displaying his mechanics and proving all over and over again that he is very gifted when it comes to figuring out how to maximize mechanics and how a game feels. Why wouldn't he be a variety streamer if he's just a gamer in general? He plays everything. So I hate kind of getting mad at people for leaving Counter-Strike when CSGO didn't really give streamers new content for like years and years. And so ultimately people left and we lost people like Summit, Tarek, Shroud. I'm extremely proud of the fact that these guys came from CSGO. Why don't we love that? And then why don't we welcome them back as people who have every right to come back to play CS2 beta? It was wonderful. I was happy to play with them, and I wish there was no negativity back and forth between them and the community and them and everything like that. Yeah, I would like to stand here as a mediator and stand in the middle and I want to absorb some punches here from both sides, and that's what we know, basically. Shroud, a solid player, insane individual, super big highlights, lots of impact on North American scene as a personality. But did his skills translate to top level CS? No. Did he ever have a 1.15 rating year? No. Was he ever a top 20 player? No. Did he have any big tournament wins? No. A good player, not a great player. And if he was, he would still be probably playing CS, right? And still owning and winning tournaments. But does that mean we have to hate on him? No, because it's not him that talked about how good he was. It's his fans. So hate his fans. No, I'm just kidding. All right, that's it on Shroud. Finally got it out there.